This is lesson 3, and we are going to be in Matthew 2.
Matthew 2.
Let's read verse number 1. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. Jesus was born as God. Jesus was never born. He is eternal. As man, Jesus was born at a particular time in a particular place. Bethlehem of Judea. This city is located 5 miles south of Jerusalem, known as the City of David. It was David's family home and the place where he was anointed king by Samuel. Let's turn to 1 Samuel 16. 1 Samuel 16. Verses 11 through 13. And Samuel said unto Jesse, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. Now let's turn to 11, 12, and 13. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Now let's read chapter 17, verse 12. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. Herod the king was also known as Herod the Great. His family, though nominally Jewish, was actually Edomite. He rebuilt the temple that Jesus knew during his life on earth. Wise men from the east came. Wise men is, in Greek, it means magos. They were the priestly tribe of the Medes. They had great influence and were called kingmakers because of their involvement in selecting and anointing the kings of the Persian Empire, which by this point was called the Parthian Empire. There is a history of the Magi in the Bible. Let's turn to Daniel 2, verse 10. Daniel 2, verse 10. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, There is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. Now let's read Daniel 4, verse 7 through 9. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But at last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee, tell me the visions of my dream, that I have seen, and the interpretations thereof. Now let's turn to Daniel 5:10-12. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in the kingdom in whom the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. Forasmuch as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts, were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Magicians. The Magi were magicians. These wise men were in Babylon. At one point, the prophet Daniel was over the Magi. As the head of the Magi, the prophet Daniel certainly shared the Old Testament scriptures and his prophecy with the other Magi. Jerusalem was the capital of Judea. Now let's read Matthew 2, verse 2. Saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? How did they know that a king, Messiah, was to be born in Judea? We have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. About 600 years earlier, the prophet Daniel would have shared his visions with the Magi along with the visions of the other prophets. Let's turn to Daniel 9:20-25. Daniel 9:20-25. And whiles I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people, Israel, and presenting my supplication before the Lord my God for the holy mountain of my God, yea, I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me, and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter, and consider the vision. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. The prophet Daniel prophesied that 69 weeks, or 483 years, would pass between the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince. The Magi would have known that the time was near for the Jewish king to make his appearance. Now let's turn to Numbers 24. verse 12 through 19. And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to thy messengers, which thou sentest unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do either good or bad in mine own mind. But what the Lord saith, that will I speak. And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what this people shall do to thy people in the latter days. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam, the son of Beor, hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, He hath said, which heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance. But I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies. And Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. The prophet Daniel surely educated the Magi in the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. If he did, they would have known the prophet Balaam's prophecy. In his prophecies, Balaam stated, There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion. The 2 passages in Daniel and in Numbers explain, 1, why the Magi were expecting Israel's Messiah to come at any moment, and 2, why the Magi thought the unusual star in the sky was significant. Now let's read Matthew 2, verse 3. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. He was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Remember, the Magi were known as kingmakers. They were from the Parthian Empire, which was an eastern rival of the Roman Empire. For these mystical, powerful wise men to make such a statement would have shaken the people up in the capital of Judea. Now let's read verse 4 of Matthew 2. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. The chief priests and the scribes were the religious experts of the Jewish religion. Let's read verse 5. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, In Bethlehem of Judea. The same priests and scribes who opposed Jesus almost 30 years later knew exactly where the Jewish Messiah was to be born. How did they know? For thus it is written by the prophet, says. The Messiah's birthplace was clearly laid out in the Old Testament, and the priests and scribes knew exactly where it was. Now let's read verse 6. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. This is a direct quote from Micah 5:2. Notice that Micah 5:2 describes the ruler, king of Israel, as him whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting. Let's turn to Micah 5:2. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. This affirms that the Messiah, born in Bethlehem, existed before his conception and birth. The baby born in Bethlehem is eternal God. Now let's read verse 7 of Matthew 2. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. King Herod wanted to know exactly how old this baby king was for the purpose of knowing the age of the boy he would have to kill. Now let's read verse 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. The wise men, as guests in the king's domain, were obligated to do as he told them. To disobey the king would be very risky. In conclusion, since the prophet Daniel was at one time the leader of the Magi, also known as the wise men, they would have known about his prophecies and other Old Testament prophecies, which would have alerted them to the Messiah's birth. According to the religious experts of Jesus' day, the Old Testament is clear that the Jewish Messiah would be born in Bethlehem, and that's exactly where Jesus was born. Did the wise men find the king? If so, did they tell Herod where he was? These questions will be answered in our next lesson.